It all started quietly, almost like any other evening. He stood by the door, putting on his jacket and said casually, "Mom, I'm heading to the sauna with the guys. Won't be late." Such ordinary words. But something about the way he said it made something stir deep inside me. A subtle pull, as if my heart whispered, "Go." I stood still, tea in hand, and felt an invisible force pushing me to follow. You can be a mother. You can be a wife. But when you're a woman of certain traditions, you never truly let go, not until you've seen for yourself. I wasn't planning to interfere. Just a visit. Just warmth. Just to make sure he's all right. That's what I told myself. But deep down, I knew, it wasn't really about him. The place was just as I imagined, dim lighting, soft golden hues, eucalyptus in the air, and steam curling along the floor like ancient smoke. I changed into a light robe, tied my hair up, tried to stay unnoticed. I didn't want him to feel awkward with his mother there. That's when I saw him. One of his friends, but clearly not from the same circle. Older, composed, confident. The kind who doesn't chase attention, he owns it. His gaze wasn't bold or inappropriate, but focused. He didn't just look, he observed. And, strangely, I didn't mind. I told myself not to overthink it. Maybe the heat was playing tricks. But then came the small things, a soft smile, a look that lingered just a moment too long. He brushed my hand as he passed a towel. A gesture too subtle to question. Yet something deep within me stirred. My pulse quickened. Something awakened. Something that had been buried under layers of routines and roles. I wasn't just mom. I was still a woman. And that evening, someone reminded me, without a single word. Let me pause for just a moment. Tell me in the comments, where are you listening from? Have you ever experienced something similar? A sudden feeling, a turning point, something that changed your course without warning? I'd love to hear your stories. And if this kind of storytelling speaks to you, feel free to subscribe. I'll continue. I hadn't planned a thing. Truly. There wasn't even a trace of a thought when I was slipping on my sandals in the warm corridor of the sauna. Everything was under control. I was just a mother. Just here to watch. But when we ended up alone, him and me, in a private steam room that someone had accidentally left open, something shifted. The steam wrapped the air like a soft curtain. Sounds were muted. Everything felt hazy, like a dream just before waking. He sat across from me, calm, composed, not moving closer. But his presence filled the space more than any touch could. I could feel his gaze, even with my eyes closed. And when I opened them, he was watching. Directly. Not boldly. Just steady, as if waiting for permission to stay silent a little longer. He spoke. His voice was low, even, and unhurried. He didn't talk about me. Or himself. Just simple things. Nothing important, and yet, everything he said landed so precisely, as if chosen just for that moment. I responded, cautiously, slowly. It wasn't a conversation. It was a dance. I tried to maintain distance. I reminded myself who I was. Where I was. And with whom. But every time I prepared to stand up, he'd say one more line, and it would keep me there. Not restrain me. Keep me. As if my body had already decided it didn't want to leave. His hand brushed mine as he reached for his towel. He didn't pull away. And neither did I. There was something quiet in that moment, something warm, almost innocent. And yet it was that innocence that felt the most dangerous. Time moved strangely. As if the world outside had hit pause. My son's voice, the phone, daily routines, all gone. Just the heat, the silence, and a man who knew how to listen without interrupting the quiet. I watched myself from the outside. A woman who always chose the right path, allowing herself to simply exist. Not as a mother, not as someone's wife. Just a woman. Feeling. Speaking. Not rushing to leave. The morning was quieter than usual. I woke before anyone else, stepped into the kitchen, poured water into the kettle, and just stood there, looking out the window. Everything felt still, almost sterile. As if the previous evening never happened. As if it had vanished with the steam, like a breath fading from glass. I waited. For what, I didn't know. Regret, maybe. A sinking feeling. But what came instead was clarity. I wasn't excusing myself. Nor blaming. Just standing in the quiet, feeling both guilty and somehow free. My son noticed nothing. He joked over breakfast, told me how one of the guys left his slippers in the locker room. He looked at me the same way, trusting, light-hearted. And I was learning how to breathe again. My husband didn't call. Not that day. Not after. Still, in meetings. Still not with me. And for the first time, I realized, the emptiness I'd been feeling wasn't because I crossed some forbidden line. It was because those lines had disappeared long ago. And no one noticed. A few days passed. I was nearly back into routine. Almost convinced myself it was all behind me. Then came the message. No introduction. Just a woman's name I didn't recognize. And photos. My fingers trembled as I opened the attachments. Screenshots. Me, in the steam room. Us, together. Taken from behind the glass. Harmless to the untrained eye. But a woman knows. One glance is enough to read what's not being said. Then a second message followed. I know who you are. And I know how well he plays this game. He's done it before. But you're not his victim. You're his lesson. And maybe your own, too. I froze. Not from fear. From something deeper. This wasn't blackmail. It wasn't a threat. It was a mirror. No accusations, no shouting, just the quiet weight of another woman's pain, offered like a truth I couldn't escape. I understood then, I'd been a part of something written by someone else. Played. Drawn in. But I made a choice in that moment. If I'm in this game, I won't be the one left behind. I had been a pawn. Now, I moved like a queen. Let me know in the comments what you think about this story. Have you ever experienced something similar? Your thoughts and honesty truly matter. I read every comment and deeply appreciate each person who takes the time to listen and reflect. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to like and subscribe, so you won't miss the next captivating stories. Wishing you a calm and beautiful day. If you listened all the way to the end, write this in the comments: the steam fades, but truth remains. That way, I'll know you stayed with me until the very last word.